Okay, we just started recording there. Welcome everyone again to workshop number 2 for Sports Capital. Um, this is IABA specific, so everybody here, of course, is an IABA boxing club or organization. Um, like I said, this is workshop 2. Workshop 1 covered how to make an application. Sorry, I'll tell a lie, how to register for the program. The majority of our clubs were registered. If anybody here is unregistered or unsure, we can discuss it at the end. What we'll do today is we will focus on how to make an application. Okay. Um, what I'll do is we'll start off with a bit of a recap, some general information about the program for anyone who wasn't here today, and then what we'll do is we'll specifically go into the steps of how to make your application, what information you'll need, and where you'll put that information. Similarly, some of the information you're going to have to fortunately figure out a little bit yourself. So I'll tell you exactly how to do that as we go along. And just before we get started, can I get a few thumbs up? Make sure you guys can hear me okay. Perfect. Yeah, brilliant. Okay. Everyone's had their caffeine this morning. So what we'll do is I'll just start sharing the slides and we'll go through them one by one. So like I said, this is about the guide to make your application. And again, these slides are from the workshop the other day, the first few. General information, key dates, it opened on the 17th of July. Clubs must register by the 25th of August, which leaves you about 3 weeks, exactly 3 weeks today to register, and then gives you another 2 weeks or so, 2 week and a half to finalize and submit your application for the 8th of September. Okay, some of the main changes, local grants are upped from 150 to 200,000 euro, increase in regional grants from 300,000 to 500,000 euro, more emphasis on climate actions, continued emphasis on gender equality, access to facilities, and the equipment grant maximum is 70,000 euro. Some of the climate actions and gender equality bits and pieces I'll go into in a bit more detail later. But yeah, generally that's it. And luckily we're joined today by our Women in Sport and Inclusion Officer, Sophie Doolan. So if anyone has any specific questions on that, we can ask some. Okay, so what capital works can I apply for? I listed them there. Again, we went through these the other day, so I won't go through them one by one, but they can be reviewed. For anybody, again, watching this video back, any of these slides, you can just pause the video and then go through it really slowly. Ideally, what you might do is you might have the grant page open and you have this video open, and then you can do it part by part, pausing it each time. Okay, for anybody here live on the call, if you guys want to open your application now and fill it in as we go along, absolutely do that. And if you need me to stop at any time and clarify anything, please let me know. Equipment that you can apply for, anything that's not set into the ground, and non-personal equipment, as you can see there, some examples. Okay, so straight in. So what we had done last time was registering for our tax registration number and trying to find our password. As you can see, there's a forgotten password section there. So first things first, if you guys would like to go to sportscapitalprogram.ie, I have it up here. Your username is going to be your tax registration number, and the password is going to be what was made by you at the registration stage. Again, in our workshop the other day, we showed how to get both of these things. So if you are unsure, go back to that workshop, watch that video, and away you go. Okay, so I'm going to click log in here. And while that's loading, I'll go to the next slide. So step 2, review your organization details. This is really important, especially for people who are regaining access to this for the first time in a long time. organization details, and primary contact is very important. Update this to who you are or who the primary contact for your club is, especially the email address, especially that. Any communication from the department will go to that email address. Any resetting of passwords, go to that email address. So just make sure that's up to date, okay? And that's covered there in the slide. Okay, so once we're in, go to our dashboard, and you'll be met with a number of buttons. As you can see, the site is kind of slow. That's a sign that there's a lot of people using it. So I would advise to get on it as soon as possible. Yeah, so you'll be met with a number of buttons here, as you can see in front of you, and some of those buttons are replicated down the sides. But effectively, all you're interested in this year is apply for grants. But just quickly before I do that, you can see apply for formal approval, apply for payment, edit, submit, or a draft application, view past grants, view all previously submitted documents, knowledge base. This is a bit of an FAQ section, frequently asked questions. So if you have anything else in there, and then send a query if you'd like to send something specific. And then that was that organization contact details. So like I said, you can click on apply for a grant here. Once you click on that, you should see the few options come up for all the different years of grants. And then this year's one will be the only one that's eligible to apply for. Yeah, this was it. So this was all of the previous grants till 2014, and then just 2023, Sports Capital and Equipment Program. You'll see these kind of acronyms a lot of places, SCEP. And if you want to, there's like a test one in here as well. But anyway, we click on create application, and then that brings us through here. So there's only so much of this I can demo before I actually have to start inputting real data. So I'll demo as far as I can go. So create application, follow the steps for filling out your grant. Massive, really, really important point here is save your work regularly. The system will log you out if you're inactive on it. So for example, you would hate to be in a situation where you filled out a ton of data, not hit save, and then the system's timed out, and then you have to redo all of that data. Incredibly frustrating. And as you can see here, there's a little green button that says save at the bottom to allow you to do that. Okay. So yeah, this is it. Start filling out your grant. The summary section, what are you applying for? How is what you're applying for going to result in a sustained increase in participation / performance? Specific targets and measurable, realistic details. So that's what's going to go into project summary. So project title, something ideally, this kind of thing is a bit silly. Equipment. See if you can put a little bit more detail into your project title. Cardio equipment for gym floor. Something like that would be an example. Weight equipment for I don't know, senior elite boxers. So something like this, something that gives a little bit more detail. In your project summary, as I mentioned there, how is what you're applying for going to increase participation or performance? Okay, so more cardio equipment will result in more members in the club, more subs, more sustained participation. What else? Gloves, pads. If anybody wants to throw out an example of random equipment that can improve, Brian, I'm just thinking of your facility and the works that were done, the capital works, and what they might do to improve performance is improve participation. It might be something like the um, the flooring, for example. It makes it safer, and therefore you can have people with disabilities or something like that that can now attend and participate within the club. But it's just some examples there of what to put into your project summary. So yeah, any questions on that? That's really going to be your main, I suppose, your main selling point of your application. So you're going to want to put in detail in here, details such as currently we have 20 members registered. We'd like to grow that to 30 members. We have, of those 20 members, 10 of them attend each hour. And we'd like to grow that to 15 each hour, but without the space to do so, blah, blah, blah. We need to refurbish the corner of our gym, whatever the case is. Okay. So yeah, social media accounts pretty standard. It's just the names of your channels: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, etc. What the department would like here is they kind of want to see the progress, and if and how what you've applied for is having an impact, and can they see that impact on your socials. The address, pretty standard. You can just enter in your error code in here and it will search for you and then populate the address of your club. If you struggle with any of that, you can use the map function to load in. My version of Chrome won't allow me to do that, but you know. Okay. As I mentioned, with the specific targets, whether they're measurable and realistic, and detailed. So we're talking about points and scoring here. You're including females, minority groups, being inclusive, people with disabilities, traveler groups, etc., etc. We're talking higher points there. Sophie, Tara, I see your message there. Thank you. I'll be mainly on this this screen here. So Sophie, could I ask you to just monitor the questions if that's cool, and just give me a shout if they come through.
Yeah, no
Tara, we're in a park and don't have an error code. That's no problem. This should allow you to zoom in to exactly where you need to be. If not, you can find the latitude and longitude from Google Maps, Tara. It's a little bit manual, but there we go. Hopefully that solves it for you. If it doesn't, come back to me. We'll review it a bit later. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So what are you applying for? How's it going to increase participation or increase performance? Address, as we just covered, error codes. The equipment grant. So if you're applying for equipment specifically, and let's just say that the equipment isn't exactly in the location of your club, well, where the equipment will be used most will suffice there. Okay, so details under details of the grant itself, the cost and priority of your project. So if you're in here and you're in facility type, this is kind of look at exactly kind of what you're looking to do here. So yeah, are you looking to do work on a clubhouse? Are you looking for fire doors? Are you looking for communication systems? There's a whole heap of stuff in here I'm not going to go into, but I think was it Brian? Was it yourself the other day? You mentioned something about An outdoor, or was that someone else? Outdoor. No, that was Gus, wasn't it? He mentioned about an outdoor uh, workout equipment. So there's options for all of that stuff here. Um, Roof clubhouse, redevelopment, refurbishment, and then for the majority, I believe, sports equipment, non-personal. Oh, there's the sports equipment fixed outdoor that you referred to there. So yeah, sports equipment, non-personal. The cost of the facility, I'm gonna just make this up, €5,000, and the priority number one. Okay, so if we do that again, we're looking for multiple types of equipment, and I'm just going to throw out the example of this 5,000 will be gloves. This 2,000 will be pads. We prioritize gloves over pads, so priority one for that, priority two for that. It's just a really basic example there, lads. And what you're telling the lads in the program is, if we're applying for 7, if we got 5, we are happy to take this 5 first. That's pretty much all you're telling them there. And then I'll just delete these. Okay, next one is the quotation documents. So for equipment, again, I'll just give you a little kind of small hack of mine. And for the purpose of the video, boxing equipment, we'll choose the first one that comes up in Google. And we go for sports boxing gloves. Okay, here's our first set of gloves. First set of gloves happened to be on sale. We want 10 of them. We haven't got 10 for sale. Okay, they must be out of stock. Next pair of gloves. Okay, so we like these. Add to cart. Put the cart now. Basket. This is my little hack, everybody. In here, you will have the details of all the equipment that you got. So let's just say we have gloves in here. I want to apply for 10 of them. The basket. What you can do is you can screenshot this, save it to your computer, and then in your quotation documents, you can have boxing, gloves, quotes, supplier name, quotation amount, 177,950, and then document, go browse, and then upload the document that you've just saved to your computer. And then once that's done, that's your boxing gloves quote done. And if you want to do pads, you repeat it for pads. Again, just forgive me if the example is super basic and really straightforward and easy, but this is a method to do that kind of thing. Probably become a little bit difficult if you're applying for kind of larger items, rings, or specific items that kind of only 1 or 2 businesses offer. But you'll need 3 quotes for each item. So if you're applying for gloves, you'll need 3 quotes for gloves. If you need pads, you'll need 3 quotes for pads. That's the way it works. Okay, in the documents, you'll have to show the VAT rate, the date and amount of the items, and like I said, 1 or more documents. So if you're applying for more than 1 piece of equipment, you'll need 3 quotes for those pieces. Same thing, save to device and upload. So once you're finished, save it next, and yeah, in here, it's not for a national government body for sport for the clubs. So you'll just hit no, and away you go. And that'll take it to your next page. Now, that's the last of my live demoing. So the rest of it will be from the slides. So in here, membership participation, what you're going to choose is you're going to choose not for profit. You're going to give them details of your club, as in what you charge for fees. Most of our boxing clubs, I know, charge fairly modest fees for their members, and that equates to higher scoring. It's the reason why boxing actually does ridiculously well percentage-wise in terms of applying for sports capital grants. Problem we have is just the number of applications being made by clubs is usually quite low. You're going to put in that you're affiliated to the IABA. You're going to demonstrate how you'll increase female participation, because that's going to get you loads of points. And you're going to shout from the rafters in it that you're open for new members. You're not going to mention, or you're not going to be proud of, your waiting list. Okay. More details here of your membership. If you need some of it, you can refer back to your Blockworks account. For example, how many boxers have I got? How many boys, girls have I got? How many coaches? How many non-coaching volunteers? How many committee members? Stuff like that. So you can jump back in there and do a quick count on your club's details, and that will make for good reading from there. And the more detail in that end, the more serious your application looks. Let's just put it that way. The next step, you're going to save and close there. Next step is site management and current facilities. So details of your facility in there, number of changing rooms, etc. Details of usage, what you use your club for, and then that will be an opportunity for you to put in that you're attracting female members, your people with disabilities, minorities, and with low-cost subs. So again, that's going to be your hook to get new members into your club. What else? I made a specific slide for climate action sustainability because it's the big push for them this year. And here's some of the examples you can use. So reducing energy, renewable energy technology, sustainable building materials, water management, etc., active travel facilities like bike racks outside the club, etc., etc. These are some of the examples that you can put in here that you can apply for under the capital side. Next one is own funding. So in terms of your capital works, 200 grand max. For equipment, 70,000, and then a minimum of 5% contribution, and that can be loan or savings. We touched on that a little bit at the start, but effectively, if you have that in your account, if you have 5% of what you're asking for in your account already, get a screenshot, get a picture, get a bank statement ASAP. It needs to be, I'll go into it in detail now, but it needs to be within 3 months of the actual application. So anything you can get now will do that. And if you don't have it within there, well, you will, there will be a form, I'll show you the form now to fill out from your financial institution if they're giving you a loan for your own funding for that. As we mentioned, one in particular already are very good for that. They're not for profit. Higher marks, more funding, more own funding. So if you can prove that, if you're looking for €100,000 for a new roof, and like I said, the minimum is 5%. If you can offer 6, 7, 8%, you'll get more marks, which means you're more likely to get more of that 100,000 than otherwise. So, for example, you apply for 100,000, you give the minimum, they might give you 80,000. But if you offer 7, 8, 9, 10% of minimum, well, then you end up with 100,000. So, in reality, the more money you put forward, the more money you're going to get. And yes, so this is where you're going to evidence that own funding, as I mentioned. Financial statements, like I said, it has to have the name of the club on the financial statement within 3 months, and it's within Appendix 1. So I'll show you where those documents are. There's a whole raft of documents that they provide you. To assist. Documents. And then this blue button here, download document templates. So you will see it in the slide. But once you click in here, a number of appendix documents will populate here. Eventually, on for now, but effectively that's the link to find them, and then you can download the template within here. Here we go. Okay, so what did I say? Appendix 1, the loan offer letter. So if you're getting a loan to assist, download this document, give that to the financial institution, bank, credit union, etc., and get them to fill that out for you. Okay, I'll go through some of these other appendix documents as we proceed through our application. Okay. Step 6, planning permission. So it's only for capital works. If you're applying for just equipment, you do not need planning permission. You don't even need to prove or disprove planning permission if you're just applying for equipment. Yeah, that's it. Like I said, the planning permission will have to be done through the local authority planning department with a reference number. And if you're doing capital works where planning permission is not needed, well, you'll need to fill out this Appendix 2 document, planning permission not required. Again, download, fill out. I realize I'm flying through a lot of this, but effectively you can refer back to this video later, so forgive me for going too fast. In terms of planning permission itself, what you need, okay, so you'll need a lease of 15 years or more to be eligible for at least 200k, okay, which is the max amount. For a lease between 5 and 15 years, you can apply for up to 70 for capital works. Okay, so as you can see, you're punished for the less amount of lease on your building. Okay, and then in terms of title issues, seek solicitor advice on them, and they must fill out Appendix 5 here, template for solicitors to confirm title, aka for you to prove that you have a lease on the building. Appendix 5 must be filled out. Okay. If you don't own or have a long lease, the landlord must make an application. And if they're not entitled to apply, you're only entitled to the €70,000 for equipment. And again, Appendix 4, if the landlord is entitled to apply on your behalf. That's their document there, okay? There's conditions there, I mentioned them. There's lots of detail on those conditions. Step 6 is 5 conditions. Here we go. Some of the conditions are things like sorry, I'm drawing a blank at the moment. I'll come back to it now in a second. Yeah, some of the conditions are things like you have to have access to your facility for a minimum of 5 years. It will take into account how much previous funding you've applied for in years 2017, 18, 20. So over those multitude of years, if you haven't got access to your own facility and you've always been applying for equipment funding only, that €70,000 will be spread across those 4 different years, 17, 18, 20, and this year, 23. So for example, if you've applied for €60,000 for equipment from 17, 18, and 20, well, you're only eligible for €10,000 in 2023. Hope that makes a bit of sense. If it doesn't, again, come back to me on that. Okay, next, evidence of sharing. So this is something that traditionally boxing clubs score low on. There's not often a lot of sharing of facilities, despite there probably being some sharing of facilities. There's a couple of boxing clubs that come to mind that are on the grounds of GAA grounds. These are great examples of sharing and proving sharing for these applications. They score a lot higher. Again, I'll go through some of the scoring in a little while, but yeah, this effectively kind of scores you up. And the method to do so is license agreements. And these license agreements, they have appendix for them. That's appendix 3. Okay, same thing. Download, fill out, and get you and the other organization that you share it with to do that. Those license agreements, you'll see the detail on it, but effectively they're things like if they're other sports clubs or if they're other not-for-profits and things like that. If they're schools and departments under the Department of Education, you'll have to do that too. Okay. Okay, step 8, summary of submission. Effectively, it'll just show you everything that you've done already, and it will be there for you to review and then hit submit. Okay. Suggestion is to save or print the application. You can screenshot or something like that, just for proof if someone in your club or someone wants to ask, are you sure you submitted that document? That will be a piece of advice there. Deadline 5 p.m. on the 8th of September, as I mentioned. I have a lie here. I mentioned about the scoring of your application. I lied. I won't go through that today. I have detail on that for workshop 3, which I'll give on Tuesday. And then there's a video guide here for this too, from the Sports Capital side of things. But like I said, this will be recorded, so you won't necessarily need that. Okay, we're finished with the slideshow. Open to you guys for questions. Ideally, you guys might pop your camera on as well there. That's cool. Any issues with any of that?
James, sorry to put it in again, but I have to go away 11 o'clock. 2 things. When the application to build up the points, if you can say that it will attract more females into the sport or new communities or people with disabilities, it bangs you up. It bangs you up the point scale. And then we said, as well as the roof, was that we were developing a female dressing room, which we did as part of it, because traditionally Arbor Hill Boxing Club was just all male. But anyway, again, it brought up the points for us. And the last one, evidence of sharing. Our facility is used by ourselves, and then Avona BC use it as well. So we said that we shared it between 2 different boxing clubs, and usage of the facility, the fact that it's used every day of the week, I think that banged up our points as well. So it's just a few small tips there, James.
Yeah, no, that's quality. Fair play, Brian. Just a question for you on the you mentioned the other club using the facility. Did you do up a license agreement and submit that?
No, but we did tell the sports funding crowd that the facility is used by another club. Now we have an agreement with them. We're the landlord, they're the tenant, and all of that, because we have it off the Department of Defence, the premises, and that's complex enough with a 25-year leasing agreement we have with them. But to say that the premises wasn't going to be lying idle, and the equipment or the roof or the floor, whatever they gave us money for, that was going to be used, I think, gave us extra points, which led to extra money.
And yeah, this female changing room is gonna max.
Oh yeah.
There. Yeah,
absolutely. Okay.
Thanks, Brian. Any questions from anyone else? I know this is really kind of overview, kind of barely scratching the surface. Once you kind of get stuck in, you'll have tons of questions as you go, because everyone's application is going to be a bit different. Everyone's club is a little bit different. So if there's no more questions in the next 5-10, we'll kind of end it, and then you guys can come back to me at a later stage if that's cool. You can use the video to kind of walk yourselves along the application, and then essentially apply any of the information in the video to your own application. Similarly, if there's specifics there as to you're unsure, the organization you share your facility with, whether they're kind of a volunteer body, whether they're eligible to be sharing kind of facilities with and doing license agreements with, again, that can be reviewed. A suggestion might be there, and I'm just thinking about Nook Grove and specifically, you might approach your county council and or sports partnership and ask them, would you mind going in on the license agreement with us? It looks really well in the department, because technically they're a partner. Anything else there, lads? No, it's like I said, it seems relatively easy on the outset, but once you start getting stuck in, it will be tricky enough. Anything else? Maybe examples, Sophie, of women in sports stuff. What I might suggest here as well, if you guys are unsure, you can pop in those areas I mentioned, any of the programs that you're engaging with the IABA on, any female participation programs, High Five for people with disabilities, for example. These are fantastic point scoring exercises on the application, and then you can show the equipment that you're applying for is going to be used for any of these target populations to help improve participation. Just an example from performance, if you're replacing, say, bikes within the gym with higher end bikes, or what's the example, like if you're upgrading rowing machines, or if you're upgrading weights, or if you're putting in, say, an Olympic floor or something like that, you can show proof that that's going to improve performance for your athletes within your club, which is eligible too. Anything else you'd like to add there, Soph, around women in sports, inclusion, maybe our toolkit perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, if there's anything specific that you guys need help on or you want advice on, feel free to email me. But like the likes of Brian putting in a female changing room, I mean, that's incredible. That's the first step to getting more female participants into your gym. If you have a beginner girl coming in, she wants to box, she's not going to want to stick around if she doesn't have a private place to get changed, or use the bathroom. So I mean, that's one massive step. Like that, if there is anything specific that you need help with, please feel free to email me. In terms of making your club more inclusive, we are actually launching a toolkit that will be within the next 2 weeks. You guys will see that, and there'll be loads of tips and tricks in there to help you make your club more inclusive as well.
And by extension, of course, include those bits and pieces within your grant application here. Okay, so I'm going to stop recording.